What's up, y'all? Snipes and Snarfblatts, your unauthorized place for Disney, Pixar, Marvel, and Lucasfilm. I'm your host, Jason, and welcome to the new year. And because it's the new year, I'm going to start getting this show ready, and this is what I thought was the best way to start. There's not too much happening in the month of January, so week by week I'm just going to come up with these spontaneous things to do, and if you read the title, you know what you're in for. This is my top 10 most anticipated things from the Disney Empire this year, okay? So, first and foremost, these are pretty much in order. There's a couple of them that I'll bounce around from, and I'll tell you which ones those are, because those are the ones that just aren't set in stone. In fact, none of these are set in stone, because, I mean, there were runner-ups that we just don't even know anything about yet. So I had to leave them off, because obviously if I don't know much about it, my anticipation level can't be that high for it. That's just me. That's just how I am. But first and foremost, hands down, number one on the list, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Y'all, I am so excited for this to happen. I have a feeling for the first time in my life, I'm going to just break down as I walk through the doors of this place. This is something that I never, ever dreamed was going to happen in my lifetime. This is amazing. I can't believe that I'm actually going to get, much like Pandora, but Pandora times 20, to be transported into a galaxy far, far away. They're building a park in Disneyland. They're building a park right in my backyard at Disney World, and I can't wait to be there. This is just, this is my childhood and things that I never thought imaginable just about to happen before my eyes. I'm blasters, lightsabers, stormtroopers. I thought I was blown away by Hollywood Studios now, just walking in and seeing a path of stormtroopers go by me as the music played. But these guys wrote a score for this place, y'all. This is so Star Wars that you're going to have your own score playing as you walk through this place. The concept of that blows my mind. And I think the best part about this, though, is the part that I'm truly excited for the most. And it seems funny when I think about it, because am I excited about this Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, where I can have 200 buttons and I'm going to be able to fly the Falcon with everybody and know what it's like to pilot the fastest ship on the galaxy? No. All right. But it's got to be the Rise of the Resistance, right? It's got to be on a trackless ride, riding through a Star Destroyer, countering Kylo Ren, and just as the Resistance comes and just totally blows us away as we're just riding through. No, that's not it either. In fact, I think people are going to think it's almost silly when I say the main thing on my mind from the time I heard of it when it comes to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and that is, I'm going to gather up my Sabacc cards. I'm going to gather up my Carillion Spike dice. And I cannot wait to play some Sabacc, Carillion Spike, laid back in a cantina with a whole bunch of aliens. That's hands down. That's what I want to do. That's one of my first experience with Star Wars was Star Wars. So dun 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 dun, and all the aliens everywhere. That is everything to me right now. And I will go down the list of the galaxy's best drinks. Except milk. I'm going to stay away from milk, and only for one reason, because now, whether it be blue or green, I can't get the picture out of my head. There's a chance that it could come from this guy right here, and that's just an unsettling image, to say the least. I can't do it to myself. But everything else is on the table. I cannot wait to go through some galactic libations in a room full of animals and aliens and just whatever else they could cram in there. Some singers, some Twi'leks. I can't wait. That's my thing. I'm probably you're going to have to pry me out of the cantina. They're probably just going to have to give me a job playing Sabacc in the place, because that's how much I am going to stay in that cantina. I can't wait for that and that alone. I mean, among other things, obviously, but number one on my list for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is literally getting drunk and playing Sabacc in a Star Wars cantina with a room full of crazies. It's just, wow, that's awesome to me. And it's cool because this easily segues into the next one. Number 2 on the list is obviously Star Wars Episode 9. Insert whatever name you want to insert as soon as they finally put it out. Y'all, The Last Jedi, I know it split the fan base. I was not one of the people that it split. I loved that movie. And I had a couple things wrong with it for a while there, but honestly, the more I've watched it, the more it's hands down one of my top 3, top 4 Star Wars movies. I loved that movie. The more I watch it, the more I gain from it, and the more I see, and the more I loved it. And it left, I'm a little worried JJ's got it, but it left him with a clean slate. He can literally go anywhere with this thing. I mean, and there's so many questions. Will Kylo be redeemed? Hell, can Kylo be redeemed? He killed Han Solo. I mean, it just... What's Luke gonna do? He's a Force ghost, obviously, because we watched him disappear. Well, what's his part in this? What's Leia's part in this? We all know it's reused footage, no CGI. What's Leia's part gonna be, and how are they gonna weave it into a movie if they've already shot the film? I've got so many questions that I can't wait to be answered in this 9th movie, and I mean, I want it to be as great as The Last Jedi, because like I said, the more I watch that movie, the more I take out of it, and the more I love that movie. And I watched it actually about 2 weeks ago, and all I could keep thinking was, wow, we have Galaxy's Edge and Star Wars Episode 9 about to happen, all in the same year. This is Star Wars gold right here. I cannot wait for this. Episode 9 is that high on my list that if you told me tickets were on sale today, I'd probably already have them. Period. That's just... But now, I do say it's high on my list. This is where I said it gets weird, though. The third thing on the list is Avengers Endgame. And the reason I say it gets weird is because depending on what I watched the day before, depending on how I go to sleep and how I wake up, this and Star Wars could easily flip-flop between 2 and 3, because I'm madly excited about Avengers Endgame. Avengers Infinity War was my favorite movie last year. Hands down. It was my favorite movie last year. Say what you will, I loved that movie. It gives you thoughts to think about, like the certain point of view that Star Wars laid out, even, and that certain point of view was Thanos a villain? A lot of people say, get over it, the bad guy won, but did the bad guy really win? Because in his eyes, the people we call heroes, well, they were the villains. They didn't understand that he was trying to save the galaxy, and I know it was a cold, wrong way to try to save the galaxy, but he grew up in a cold, wrong galaxy. So when it really comes down to it, that's really all he knew. And I really can't wait to see where Avengers Endgame goes, because I know it's going to end the 10 years as we know it. We've got 10 years of Marvel movies, and this is going to be the final culmination right here. This is what it all led up to. And the beauty of comic books is when you end a major storyline, and I'm not going to say how it is now with the major storyline after major storyline after major storyline. I'm going back, 70s, 80s comics, even 60s, 50s comics. When you ended a major storyline, which usually took years to pan out, or at least many, many issues at least, you're going to see a year's worth of a storyline. When you ended a storyline, that was your time to give a nod to the machinations of what comes next. And I have a feeling it'll be heavy with Skrulls. Skrulls are the shapeshifters you saw in Marvel. They're the alien race that could be anyone. Back in yesteryear, that started a big Skrull invasion where they were even posing as our heroes. And I think that's going to be peppered into the future. But even more so, I think we're going to see a shift in the future to what you're used to in these 10 years. And we're really going to blow the top off of it. And that's mainly because of what I get into next. My fourth thing, the buyout of Fox. Now first, I'm excited about the buyout of Fox because how much Fox has played a part in my life. When I watched the video earlier today that Disney released for the first of the year called From Now On, really made me realize when they were showing clips of some of the Fox stuff that Fox really has played as big a role in my life as Lucasfilm and Disney and Marvel and all of this. I saw The Simpsons, and I mean, I cheered. The Simpsons are Disney now, and I remembered all the playground arguments about Anastasia when someone would accidentally say she was a princess or a Disney princess even, and everyone, no, she's not a Disney princess. She's not even a princess because she doesn't count. Now she does. That argument, it don't exist anymore. Anastasia has finally found her spot as a Disney princess. And you know what? That was one of the very few cartoons that came to the caliber of people got it confused with Disney. There's very few cartoons where people confuse them with Disney cartoons, because Disney cartoons are usually on this whole other level, especially the animated features. And now Anastasia herself is a Disney cartoon. That's so awesome to me. But more so, back to what I was talking about earlier that segued into this in the first place. The Fox buyout represents a shift in Marvel now. Everyone's talking about, they're getting the X-Men back. They're getting the Fantastic Four back. What are they going to do with Deadpool? I'm not on that level. I'm a little beyond that level, because I know a lot of things that went with that Fantastic Four buy. And Fantastic Four owns the greatest villain collection you can think of when it comes to the Marvel Universe. And when I say the shift, what you've seen in the 10 years of Marvel as we know it on film is mainly rooted in the Ultimate Universe, which was a more grounded, down-to-earth universe that Marvel created later in its 60s. I think it came out late 80s, early 90s, something to that extent. But it was a more grounded, at least at first, it was a more grounded, reality-stricken hero setup. You know what I'm saying? And what I think you're going to see is a shift into Marvel Universe proper as you know it as a whole, because this is going to unleash Galactus, Silver Surfer, Doctor Doom, the Beyonders, the Living Tribunal. This is going to take the galactic Marvel onto a level that you've never seen before. And I'm curious, honestly, because I don't know if a movie audience is ready for what's coming. But with the Skrull invasion possibly happening, and I have a feeling we're going to get dumped right into some version of Secret Wars. It's going to be our Infinity Wars this time. And I mean, we're talking Beyonders and all kinds of just crazy, godlike, cosmic event things that we're not used to seeing. Because believe it or not, these heroes you're watching for the past 10 years are pretty much rooted in reality as Marvel goes. So I'm actually very, very excited to see where they go from here, because this is going to be big. That Fox buyout is heavily number 4 on my list for way more reasons than one, obviously. And that also, one of those reasons happens to be Disney Plus. Disney Plus is going to be hands down it's going to revolutionize how we stream things. I know Hulu's become kind of the TV thing. Netflix has become kind of the movie thing. Hell, now Netflix wants to make only their own movies and their own shows. Disney buying all those Fox properties and making this Disney Plus has me so curious, because I don't know where they're going. I mean, on top of The Mandalorian, on top of a Loki show that's been announced, on top of with a Falcon and Winter Soldier, on top of Scarlet Witch and Vision. These are great things. There's even another Star Wars thing in the mix besides The Mandalorian, from what I've heard. Lady and the Tramp, live action, with real dogs. That's mind-blowing. I just want to see the making of that with real dogs, because it's pure chaos. But on another level, you've got to think about the things that Disney's done in its past. Like, they're telling us what they're going to do in their future on this streaming, but think if they add their passions. Think how rich of a diverse catalog of things Disney can put on this streaming service. Their content, not even the things they want to make later, but their content could literally blow away what we've been used to on Amazon Prime and Hulu and Netflix. Their content could destroy this. There will be so much to watch. Imagine if they just open up the classics. What if they just put all their classic cartoons? I mean, I own them on DVD, but they're amazing. So many people, I watch these with them, and they haven't even seen them. Not just the ones from the vault, but the originals, and they're so great. Some of the lost cartoons. Some of the things that have won Academy Awards even, that you don't even know about because you haven't seen them in years. Some of the classic movies. I am so excited about the Disney Plus streaming service that it's definitely in my top 5. That's why it's in my top 5. Is one of the things that I'm almost ready to drop Hulu and Netflix for. In fact, Netflix, they've got to count their blessings anyway, because I was at a point only holding on to them for Daredevil, gone. Luke Cage, gone. Jessica Jones, gone. The Immortal Iron Fist, gone. Guess where they're going to wind up? In some form or fashion, they will probably wind up on Disney Plus as well. And that means Hulu, The Runaways. Yeah, great show, huh? It might be gone too one day. Even though they do have a controlling interest in Hulu, so we won't go there. But what do you do when you become your own competition? Do you go with you, or do you go with the next thing, right? So, I mean, that's one of the things of where we're at right now. The fifth thing on the list, it kind of comes out of nowhere, and it really hits me just because it's something big to me. And that is Mickey and Minnie's Railroad Adventure. If you don't know what that is, I don't blame you. It's an attraction that's coming to Hollywood Studios. It's replacing what was my favorite attraction in Hollywood Studios. I loved this attraction. It was the one thing that no matter what was the first and last thing I got on every trip, and it was the Great Movie Ride. If you don't know what the Great Movie Ride was, it was a ride through of all the greatest movies, and they set up sets like your usual dark rides, but they were elaborate. You had live action actors playing in them too, which made it even better. You had your mob scene, you had your Wizard of Oz scene, you had your Egyptian Indiana Jones type scene. Even better though, you had my favorite scene, the alien scene. I loved to watch people scream at the alien scene. When that alien comes down from the top and it was just smoke it was great. So, one reason this is on my list in the top 5 is because, actually, we're past the top 5, aren't we? This is 6. We're moving into the top 10. I've corrected myself. I'm sorry. So, the reason this is in my top 10, and it's so high in my top 10, because not only was it my favorite ride, I've been looking into how this Mickey and Minnie's Railroad Adventure is going to work, and it's a 2D, 3D ride where you ride a railroad through, and it's got animation mixtures of 3D animation and 2D animation and animatronics, and it just really, really looks cool. If you've ever seen the Get a Horse at the Pixar Studios, not Pixar Studios, but the Pixar Animation Show, it's going to be close to that, where they're going to pop out and in of 2D and 3D, and it's a really great show, and just, you know what, Mickey deserves a ride. This is going to be Mickey's first ride in his home. So if anyone deserves an attraction, it's Mickey Mouse. And that also helps my excitement for this attraction itself, because one, it replaces one of my favorites. It's got a high bar set right there. And two, like I said, Mickey has needed a ride for a really, really long time. So we're getting further down the list. We're going to go to number 7. Number 7, Toy Story 4. Mainly because of this guy right here. I love that little sport guy. The sport guy, I think he's Sporky or Forky, oh man, I cannot wait to see this guy, because everything about him just blew my mind from the first time I saw him. And look, Toy Story 1 through 3. You could argue with whatever you want to argue with, but you can check the IMDb scores, you can check the Rotten Tomato scores, and it is hard pressed to not say that Toy Story 1 through 3 is one of the greatest trilogies, if not the greatest trilogy of all time. And that's coming from someone who lives and breathes Star Wars, right? That's a hard thing to say for me because it's Toy Story, but they're great. I can't take anything away from the Toy Story movies. They are amazing. And I know Lasseter left on bad grounds, but John Lasseter has done amazing things for Disney as a whole and for Pixar and for everything. And I know this is one of, if not the last movie that's going to heavily have his fingerprints on it. And that right there gives me faith that it was steered in the right direction. Because the first 3 Toy Stories are amazing. Every time I count Toy Story out, they bring me to tears and almost make me want to call up someone and apologize for counting them out. And I have a feeling they're going to do the same thing with this fourth one. This fourth one is just, it's that high on my list just because of the fact of what they've done for us already. I have so much faith in this cast. Tim Allen, Woody, Tom Hanks. The cast is amazing. Hell, I followed half these guys from Cheers. I really am excited from this movie. And it's just, Toy Story's had a place in my heart all these years because I too collect toys and I love my toys, and it just resonates with me for that reason, I think, among more, but it mainly resonates with me with that reason because I'm never going to grow up. I know that. Look, I'm right here talking about Disney right now as a grown adult. I've got toys in front of me. Never going to grow up. And Toy Story, it helps me realize that you can move on, but you don't really have to grow up. And I like that. And I'm hoping this one has the same love and the same heart and the same thing we're used to out of the trilogy, because it's something we all need right now. And speaking of things we all need right now, look, when I first saw a picture of this guy, I was just expecting this to be terrifying. But once they added motion and they gave it some life, Dumbo become so high on my list. It wasn't even funny. Like, I can't wait for Dumbo. And I did not think I was going to say that a year ago when it got announced. But the more I think about it, out of all these live action remakes, Dumbo actually has the most places we can go with it. Dumbo doesn't really have a story. I mean, it does. It's got the elephant story and the You Can Fly story, but I like these live action films to stay true to what we know on the animated side, but also have room to build a little bit. And I think Dumbo, out of almost all of them, has a whole lot of room to build, especially when you decide to go on with the rest of the circus and show the people around Dumbo and how it affects everybody. And the more I see previews for this movie, the more I'm just that much more excited. And I mean, hell, y'all, it's got Michael Keaton in it. Where can you go wrong when you cast Michael Keaton? But Dumbo is very high on my list. And because there's a lot of stuff going on this year, y'all. So this top 10 list, like I said, it was a very, very hard thing for me to make. And these last two, it was really, really hard to decipher where I wanted to go with them and what I wanted to put. So I'll give you some ones that were close to getting on the list after I go through these. But the first choice, after really thinking about it, is Spider-Man Far From Home. They did great with this Spider-Man. And I think Spider-Man Far From Home made it on my list mainly because of not only how great they did with Spider-Man and how great they interweaved him into Infinity War and how they even got him in from Civil War and then just kind of ran with it in that Homecoming movie. But I think this Spider-Man Far From Home sets whether Sony is going to keep Spider-Man in the MCU or take their ball and go home, for lack of words, because this is still Sony's baby. And as far as I know, he's only contracted through Endgame and this movie. And I'm sure they say they're going to do more, but it's not in writing, so they don't have to. And that Spider-Man they just made, the Into the Spider-Verse movie, it gave them a taste that they can do Spider-Man. That said, I'm a little worried on this one, because if this movie doesn't do great, they might take their ball and go home. If this movie does do great, they might get cocky and take their ball and go home. I don't want to see that happen, because I think Spider-Man, especially this Spider-Man, and I loved all the Spider-Man before. Andrew Garfield's second movie was horrible, but Andrew Garfield was a great Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire's third movie was horrible, but Tobey Maguire was a great Spider-Man. I think this kid's even better. I think this kid's got it. And I think he's got it down perfect. He's the Spider-Man we need for the universe we've created. And I really hope they don't take their ball and go home. I want to see this Spider-Man go on further, and I think that's why Far From Home's on my list. That and Mysterio, dude, Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. Anyone as Mysterio, for that matter. When I was a kid, I don't know if you've seen the movie Effects or FX2, but special effects were my thing. So when I first heard of this guy that fights Spider-Man and literally fights him with special effects, I just found my new favorite villain forever. You know what I'm saying? So knowing that that's who's coming on film opposite this Spider-Man has got me so curious. Not to mention we might finally see some sort of formation of the Sinister Six that they have been trying. Sony's been trying this for a long time, and I would love to actually see them work it out, especially with the help of Marvel in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think that would be a great pickup, and it would be a beautiful way to run him into a trilogy and just keep him going through the Marvel Universe. Please, Sony, do this, because we need Spider-Man. We really do. As many heroes as we have, and as many heroes as we're about to add in, Spider-Man just fits. He is Marvel, and an MCU without him is just almost sad. So, here is the hardest spot that I had to find on this whole list, and that was the last spot. And I gave it to Aladdin. Why did I give it to Aladdin? Because Aladdin is my favorite animated feature probably Disney has ever made. And it's weird because I give that to Robin Williams more so than anyone. And that's where I'm a little worried about this Aladdin, is in the genie. I think Aladdin looks great. I think Jasmine looks great. I think this land they've created is amazing. I am so curious about Guy Ritchie doing an Aladdin movie that I don't even know where to start. Because, wow, Guy Ritchie is going to do an Aladdin movie. If you'd have told me that 4 or 5 years ago, I'd have smacked you and said you were out of your mind. But our only problem is our genie so far. I mean, they've said he was a cocky, more vain genie, which, I mean, I guess that fits Will Smith. But look, I grew up with Fresh Prince, man. Will Smith can be hilarious. And there's one more thing that kind of almost took this off the list. And if Aladdin didn't hold a big place in my heart, hell, I named one of my daughters Jasmine just because of my love for this movie. And if it didn't hold that big a place in my heart, the introduction of a hip-hop genie scares the hell out of me. I love hip-hop. I grew up on it. It's rap. That's my thing. I love hip-hop. You go in my car right now, that's what's playing. But when you set a movie in Agrabah, there's a reason why we don't use current music in most of these movies. And it's because, this is just me maybe, but current music, it takes you out of it a little bit. You've got this setting you've made, and then all of a sudden you throw down a beat, and you're like, whoa, what just happened? But the more I thought of this, the more I thought of Robin Williams' portrayal of the genie, and I thought, you know what? Maybe this rapping hip-hop thing could be just part of his shtick when he goes into his fast genie mode, right? So, I mean, it don't necessarily have to be bounce with me, here comes the genie in blue. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's what worries me the most, is I don't know if I can handle the genie busted into some old school tired ass 90s Will Smith rap, and it just, I'm worried about it. That's all. But I'm not worried enough to keep it off my top 10 list. That's why it is on the bottom of the list, beating out The Lion King, which, look, I'm excited for The Lion King, but the reason it's not on my top 10 list is because I think The Lion King might just be a shot-for-shot dramatic remake of The Lion King, and until I find out otherwise, I'm just not that excited about that movie. Not to mention some of the new music that has been put in by Queen Bey, Beyonce. I can't get that excited for it because I don't know if we're going to get anything different. And like I said, in my live action, I want them to build on it a little bit. Aladdin gets a pass because even though I don't think they're going to build on it and add something new except for a brand new genie, Aladdin, it's it's one of my favorite movies of all time, so I had to add it on the list. Frozen 2 also almost made it to the top 10 because I came around, and at first I didn't like Frozen, but I am definitely becoming more and more a Frozen fan. I take that back. I am an Olaf and Sven fan. But as much as I love Frozen, we know absolutely nothing about Frozen 2. And that said, it gets an honorable mention just like Lion King, but it can't be on the top 10 list because I don't know anything about it. And if I don't know anything about it, I can't be that excited for it. So, there you go. That's the top 10. Sound off in the comments. I want to know what y'all think. What is y'all's top 10? What did I leave off? What should I have put on? What shouldn't I have put on? What's on this list that you don't agree with? Let me know. I'm really curious. I want to know where everyone else is at with this. I want to know where everyone is visioning the Disney Empire this year, because they have got, like I said, a major big year to come. And guess what? So do we. We're going to be doing a lot this year, and the only way you can keep up is subscribe, hit that bell, go to the comment, or go to the links. The links are in the description. The links will take you to Twitter. The links will take you to Facebook. Those are the best two ways to follow me piece by piece as it goes on, because those will tell you right when something hits the link to the website. Link to the website is where I write everything first. I will write things on the website the day they happen, and sometimes video won't come out till the end of the week. So the videos are only going to be weekly, and those are daily. So if you really want a dose, hit the website. You're going to see it daily there. And the only way to keep up with that is what? Facebook and Twitter. And there's also a link to Pinterest, which is just going to keep you just as up to date. There's also a bunch more little pictures there I like to gather. I keep them in sections of all the different Disney properties and Marvel properties. And even more fun, grab the link to Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. I am at the park so much it's not even funny. I have pictures all over my phone right now that I haven't even put on Instagram. If you like pictures of Disney World, Epcot, Animal Kingdom, Star Wars Land, Hollywood Studios, that's where you're going to get them. Go to my Instagram, follow me on Instagram, and you will see all the beautiful pictures of the most magical place in the world. So that's it for today. That's the top 10 episode. I'm hoping I'm going to see y'all next week. I'll come up with something. Maybe even some news will happen, and we'll just go ahead and take it from there. But until then, in the words of Walt, it is kind of fun doing the impossible.